what are your thoughts on cannibalism?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I would assume that I'm against. Yeah, I'm against.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, and take a dive into the unknown. You like that? I just came up. That was a good one, right?
Ooh, on the
Yeah,
spot?
that's gonna be the new intro. It was good. Joining me today is fan favorite Colby Clark back again. What's up, bud?
Fan favorite says who? The fans?
Yeah, I mean, all the reviews on Apple Podcasts seem to think that you're just the co-host. So they're like, the co-hosts are great. So
Oh,
yeah, how you doing,
that's
bud? It's good to
nice.
have you back.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Piecing it together today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
time went on last
yeah.
night.
Well, just writing some tunes,
Yeah,
trying to stay creative.
how's that going?
Yeah, it's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we two freshies in the books last night.
Oh
Bangers,
damn.
boppers.
Well, for everyone listening, Colby is a guitar player in New Hampshire metalcore band. We say it's a metalcore band.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lantern's
yeah,
Last Light.
yeah.
You got a single out called Mitochondria. What's it called?
Makahiki Kamaha.
That's what it is. All right. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, go check that out. I'll put a link in the description of the episode. So if
we
anyone,
said it so many times.
I can't.
We said it so many times in that episode with
With Carson from Callous Boys.
um with Carson that I don't think I'll ever. Well, I'm not supposed to forget it in the first place,
I
but
was gonna say it's your song. You should.
no, I
Forget it.
definitely won't.
All right. Well, yeah. Like I
Yeah,
said, I'll put it in the description so people can check it out if you guys are fans of metalcore. But Colby, I have one question for you.
sure. Shoot.
What are your thoughts on cannibalism? Pro, against, indifferent?
Uh, I mean, there I go saying I mean again. I don't know. I mean, I would assume that I'm against. Yeah, I'm against.
Now, what if let's
I'm I'm
say it
I'm
was
anti cannibalism.
let's say it was like a brutally harsh winter, and it was you and Maddie and I don't know Rob, and you were snowed inside for like weeks on end. You're desperate. Rob
This is
dies.
like a right. This is like a 70 days on an island kind of thing,
Yeah,
but with cannibalism.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, that's a tough one. I don't think I have a choice at that point, right? Doesn't my hunger take over?
I don't know. But the reason why I asked is because today we're going to be going over the cannibalistic spirit known as the Wendigo. Are you familiar with the Wendigo at all?
Dang, I am not.
No?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're about to learn today, baby. The Wendigo is one of my favorite all time. I don't want to say cryptids. It's I guess a spirit, like an evil spirit, malevolent spirit. And
Okay.
the folklore behind it and the legends is fucking awesome.
I've never heard of it. I'm pretty bad with time management. I never know when to go.
Oh, yeah. You had to take a sip right after that just to really punctuate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Those for the fans.
they can't see you.
No, the joke, the pun.
Oh, okay.
Pun daddy Clark here.
All right. Well, you ready to dive right into this?
Always.
All right. Well, I think that it's important to mention right off the top two very important things. First, I am not a scholar or like a learned person on Native American or First Nations beliefs, their traditions or cultures, and I don't believe you are as well, Colby. Right?
I am not. No.
Okay. So what I'm saying, we're just a couple of dudes with microphones. So if anything I say or we say in this episode is wrong, misguided, or in any way offensive, just know that I'm doing my best to accurately and respectfully tell this story to the best of my abilities with the resources I had available to me. And
Okay.
yeah, so if anything I say is wrong, just please feel free to reach out with any corrections or information, and I'll be sure to make a note of them in the next episode. The second thing I want to stress that's very important is that the Wendigo is not a cryptid. I see this misclassification a lot in a lot of like subreddits and like internet message boards and stuff, as well as like pop culture. And I think it's to dispel, it's good to
Mm.
like dispel that right away. Now, to loosely go off what a redditor said in a subreddit, a cryptid is an animal that is claimed to exist but has never been proven to exist, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, Mothman, that kind of stuff. They all fall into
All
that
right.
category of cryptid because
Mhm.
they're claimed to be like flesh and blood creatures, but they've never been proven to exist. The Wendigo is a spirit.
Mm.
It possesses those that engage in certain behaviors, and it is not a physical uh, animal. Does that make sense?
Being.
It's spiritual in nature. I would
Sure.
say it's spiritual in
Everything's in
nature.
nature.
Yeah, it's in nature, but it's a spiritual
Yeah.
representation of desperation, greed, isolation, and it's also not a skinwalker. I see a lot of people say that it's a skinwalker.
Oh
I don't know if you know
shit.
what a skinwalker is.
Um, Something walking around with skin.
That's yep, fucking nailed it, dude.
Shot in the dark.
Oh, hey, I'm proud of you.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, no, hey, all right.
Appreciate it.
So the
I'm not familiar with the skinwalker.
oh, it's not relevant to what we're talking about. So maybe I'll have you on for another
Okay.
episode to talk about skinwalkers. I don't know.
Ooh,
It's
okay. All
yeah.
right.
But all right. So now that that's out of the way, I think we're ready to dive right in. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Any
Head first.
questions so far?
No.
Okay.
Where does it take place?
Where does it take place? Well, glad you asked.
Yeah.
We're about to find out. Now, the
Ooh.
Wendigo has been a staple of pop culture for years now. TV shows like Supernatural, Hannibal, movies like Antlers, and The Wendigo. It's also been featured in video games such as Fallout 76 and Until Dawn. And if you're like a
Oh.
super nerd like like me, you might know it from the trading card game MetaZoo, where it was basically the mascot for their Nightfall uh,
Mm,
release. But
mm-mm.
none of those portrayals are really accurate. And the reason why is because for some reason modern tellings and depictions of the Wendigo portray it as this tall, gaunt, like 20-foot tall giant man beast with the face of a deer skull and antlers. I'm gonna send
What?
yeah, I'm gonna send you some pictures, and I want you to let me know what your thoughts. So this is what the modern representation of the Wendigo is. It's
Okay.
pretty fucked up looking. It's pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Like I understand why people think this is a badass representation of it, but unfortunately we'll
Right.
find out that it's not quite what it is.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Did you get it?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. I got them both. That's pretty cool.
And
That is pretty badass. Yeah. I don't even like why only hair somewhere?
yeah, I don't know.
Somewheres,
So,
you know?
I don't know why
A little
only hair somewhere.
patchy. He's getting old.
He needs to get himself some creeps. Not creeps. Keeps. Jesus Christ. He gives me the creeps, but he needs some keeps. Oh man, you gotta love when shit like that comes together. That's good.
And you can't make that stuff up, bud.
Yeah. But so like I said, the portrayal of it looking like that uh isn't very accurate. The one thing that they do get accurate though is that it has an insatiable hunger for human flesh. So what is the Wendigo really, you might be asking?
Mm-hmm.
This is when you ask me that.
Well, like what is the accuracy based off of if
Okay.
it's not in nature?
Well, the Wendigo is an evil, malevolent, and cannibalistic spirit that has been part of the Native American and First Nations folklore for centuries, specifically in the Algonquin language group, which was located in the Great Plains region of the United States, as well as the Great Lakes and Northeast regions of the US and Canada. So basically, right where you live, Colby, right up in New Hampshire.
Dang, that was you said you weren't a scholar? Shit.
I know, right? I did my research. I try to do this like as like fucking to the T as possible, but it's hard.
It's good work.
There's
It's
so
good
much
work.
lore behind it that it's hard to really condense it into like a 30 to 45-minute episode. So I did my best.
Sure.
But it's believed that the Wendigo is a manifestation of all the worst and darkest parts of the human spirit. So greed, gluttony, cannibalism, and it was described by native ethnographer and author Basil Johnston in his book The Manitoa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. but I hope I am.
It's pronounced Basil.
Well, anyways,
Just
Basil. He
yeah,
described it
there you go.
in his book. The Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation, its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out
Oh,
over its skin. Its complexion,
dang.
the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into the eye sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Unclean and suffering from suppurations of the flesh, the Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption.
That just perfectly described me.
Dude, it does. You got fuck.
I got chapped lips lately too. They're not bloody, but I get the sunken eyes. I'm unclean. Let's be real here. I'm a little dirty at most times.
I don't think when it said its lips were tattered and bloody, they meant chapped. I'm pretty sure they mean that it chewed them off in a fit of hunger.
Okay.
But basically, what he's describing is wildly different than what the modern representation of the Wendigo is. To me, this sounds more like either like a walker from The Walking Dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like
Yeah.
like a less skinny version of Christian Bale from the movie The Machinist.
Right. Less skinny.
Less skinny.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty fucking thin in that movie, and it's unnerving.
Right.
Also, probably pretty unhealthy.
It is.
But
yeah, I mean, actors are just like us.
Oh yeah, just regular salt of the earth. But now that you have that description to go off of, I'm gonna send you 2 more pictures that probably more accurately describe what is going on. So take a look at these. Let me know what you think. Also, these pictures, I haven't been doing this, but I'll post the pictures that I've been sending to you on Instagram. So anyone wants to see them, they can check them out.
It's a good call. Okay, yeah, I seen this one. It's like that dude from The Hobbit.
Like the head orc.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it does kind of look like that. He's a little thinner, but it kind of does.
Yeah. Much thinner. It's pretty badass. Dang, and that other one? Shoot.
Yeah, I don't like that one. That one's a fucking nightmare.
Holy smokes.
If you want, do you want to describe the second one to the audience and they know what you're looking at?
It's half man, half elderly man with beard, graying hair, widow's peak, I think. I don't know, it's a side view, it's hard to tell. But yeah, he's Christian Bale skinny.
He really is Christian Bale
and the
skinny.
Machinist. Very long, spindly fingers with very long nails at the end, blood in the teeth, obviously.
Oh yeah.
The nose is a little crunched in there. It's like
it's
flat face,
kind of Voldemort-y.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yep. Lost some of his powers way back when. It's looking for the boy who done it.
The boy who done it. The boy who did it.
It's scary, man. That's some nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah, it's not ideal, dude. Like I don't want to fucking run into one of these in the woods. Good thing I live in the city.
Yeah, very far away from the woods. You never catch one of these in the city. They get spooked like a bear.
And all the motion sensor lights.
You wouldn't think it, but these creatures are more afraid of you, Dave, than you are of it. Just to put things in perspective.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, moving on, Colby. Basil goes on to say that the word Wendigo derives from the Ojibwa word ween de go, which means solely for self. Because once you are possessed, you are no longer you. You are the Wendigo and are now solely fixated on one thing: the insatiable hunger for human flesh.
Yes.
It's pretty metal.
That's so badass.
It kind of is.
Absolutely.
Now, mostly associated with the winter months, when desperation, isolation, and starvation were real threats to those communities. Like for example, the Donner Party, that one soccer team from the movie Alive that ate each other in the Andes, or was it a rugby team, something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Right, right. I didn't see it, but yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard people talking about it.
And also the doomed Franklin expedition that we know that starvation and desperation oftentimes can lead to cannibalism. And once you start having those thoughts, that's when you're most vulnerable to possession of the Wendigo. So basically, Colby, let's
Oh,
say you're
okay.
a hunter, but you're not really good at hunting. Okay.
Right,
You just
right.
you just think the outfit's cool. You know, you're like, fuck it, dude,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Just gonna dive right in. No training, no sort of anything like that. You're just basically a shit hunter. You go out in the woods,
Okay.
all of a sudden you're out there for months. Winter rolls in. It's especially brutal, harsh, and your only resort for survival was to eat your family, your neighbor, or just some dude you found in the woods. Now you, Colby, are vulnerable and most likely now are a Wendigo. How do you feel about yourself?
No, he got me, man. It wasn't me. It wasn't like me. It was the Wendigo. Man, what a scapegoat. He kind of looks like a goat too.
Well, funny you should say
Just
that.
blame it on the Wendigo, man. I ate my buddy. It wasn't me. It was the hunger.
Now, in the late 1800s, there was a Cree man named uh, Swift Runner. Now, he was a tracker
Hmm.
for the Canadian Mounted Police, and everyone said he was a really nice dude. Everyone in the tribe loved him until he kind of became an
Is that
alcoholic.
the quote?
He got really
They
big into
said, quote unquote, he was a really nice dude.
no this, but no. So he kind of took a liking to whiskey and eventually became
Sure.
pretty much a dickhead overnight. He got fired from his job. He was abusive and just aggressive. So the tribe was like, fuck you, get out. We don't want to deal with
Hmm.
this anymore. So him and his family, I believe it was his wife, and I think he had like 6 kids or something like that. I'm going off memory
Dang.
with this. But so,
Hmm.
yeah, so he went out into the woods with his family, set up a camp, and then during the winter, it was like especially brutal. Uh, once after a few months, he came back, like stumbled out of the woods and told everyone like, "Hey, my family all starved to death. Like, I need help." Blah blah blah. And right away, people were calling bullshit on his story because he said his
Right.
family was all dead and dying of starvation, but he looked pretty well fed, if you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah.
So they got a party together, and they went into the woods to go to his camp. And when they got there, they found a grave. So they dug it up, and it was one of his sons. And
Hmm.
he clearly died of starvation. Like there's no way around it. But the other five
Right.
members of his family, he was kind of cagey about. So the police and some other people started searching around the camp, and where they found the bones of his entire family stripped clean of the meat with the bones cracked open and the marrow sucked out. So they immediately arrested him for murder and cannibalism. But
Dang.
as you said, the Wendigo did it. It wasn't me. I was possessed by the Wendigo. So
Right. 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 He even went for the marrow too. You know, true Native American. He used every part of the human body.
Colby, you can't say that.
Shit. It
Oh,
fit right in
no,
though,
that
right?
was good. Fuck me, dude. All right. So he went on trial, and
You got a choice here, bud. Leave it in or take it out.
I'm gonna leave it in. But so he went on trial, and obviously the jury's like, nah, dude. Like, I think it took like 30 minutes for the jury to go and deliberate and
Right.
found him guilty. And I believe, if I read the story correctly, that was Alberta, Canada's first legal hanging, like by the government.
Whoa.
So they hung him, and so yeah,
Canada stepping it up.
yeah, all super late too, 1890.
Like, we're not gonna go to war, but we're still hanging people.
Yeah, wild. But anyway, so yeah, so you saying that it could be a scapegoat. Now,
Mm.
was he possessed by the Wendigo? I don't know. I don't buy it, considering that if he was really in a state of such desperation, it turns out that 20 miles from where his camp was, there was an outpost where you could go and get supplies.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Hannaford.
easily had like he easily had access to food and supplies, and just chose instead to cook and eat his entire family.
Dang.
And that is the story of
Not
Swift
even
Runner.
just not even just like some humans, like
Mm-mm.
his people.
It was his humans.
Wow. Fuck. Fucking Wendigo got him, man.
Dude, got him good too.
Yeah. Phew, sucked out that marrow. Damn.
No, once a person in the tribe is found to be a cannibal, they're immediately banished. For good reason. You can't really trust anyone who would eat their kids, but also because it was believed that once you got a taste for human flesh, you won't be able to eat anything else, and you're consumed by that hunger and are no longer the person you
Shit.
once were.
Could you imagine still having him around town? Just like, hey, back the fuck up, dude. You almost got me on that. You almost got me.
They gotta put a cone around his head like a fucking dog, so it doesn't. Just like that. But you know what's funny is that literally every video I ever watched, even some articles and podcasts that I read and listened to, when it gets to the part where they're talking about how you're consumed by the hunger, they always bring up, and this seems to be a running theme on our show as well, the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" episode where Dee and Charlie eat Frank's meat, and Frank convinces them that it's human, and then the entire episode they're basically consumed by the hunger for human flesh, and then it turns out it was just raccoon, and the hunger they were dealing with was tapeworms. So
Right.
But-
Yep. That tapeworms will get you.
dude, we did it though. We found a way to fucking shoehorn in "It's Always Sunny," which has been in every single episode.
Every single one. I did catch the little clip from the one you and Curtis did. That was good.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna keep that theme going. I'm gonna try and find a way to shoehorn that in. Every chance
I mean,
get.
you know, looking for that sponsorship, baby.
From "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia."
Yeah, I don't know. They're doing the podcast these days, right?
Yeah, maybe I'll try and convince Danny DeVito to come on. I
If
doubt that.
anybody would come on,
You think it would be
it'd be
Danny
Daniel.
DeVito?
it would be Daniel DeVito.
I don't think so. But anyways,
Yeah.
let's move on, Colby.
Okay.
So there was an interview with a Cree elder that I had found while researching for this. I actually found it in the resources section of a John Solo video, which is really fucking good. If you don't know who John Solo is, he's a YouTuber that does a lot of folklore stuff. He does it really well, way better than I ever could, because he takes the real time to do it. But
Sure.
basically what the Cree elder said in his interview, and this is kind of summarizing a little bit. He said that basically once a person is consumed by this hunger, they are no longer human, and that over time, if he continues to eat human flesh, he becomes numb, basically a husk with no feeling, and that quote, his heart becomes like ice. There is no sympathy. There's no right, no human richness. That's all that counts. So basically, if you become a Wendigo, you're fucked. There's no there's no turning back.
You get it just turns your mind into zero empathy.
Into what?
It's the tapeworms. zero empathy.
Oh. I didn't hear
It's the tapeworms.
Because the tapeworms? I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
But
well.
But yeah, so basically Wendigo possession is a corruption. It's a corruption of the mind, the soul, and the body that comes from desperation, isolation, starvation, and selfishness. And the transformation of a person into a Wendigo is more of an internal one than a physical one. So really, you don't eat a person that become a 30-foot tall Cronenberg monster with a deer skull for a head. You know, the description of it being a former human and now gaunt and emaciated is usually due to the circumstances that forced you to become a cannibal in the first place. So like starvation and malnourishment. Right. That's why those pictures that I sent you the second time around is more human, just clearly not well.
Right. Yeah.
Now, yep. Checks out. Checks
yep.
out. Yeah. Now, as for the origin of the Wendigo legend, I don't really know where it came from. One story I read says that the first Wendigo was a hunter who became lost in the woods during a particularly harsh and brutal winter. Starving and out of options, his intense hunger drove him to cannibalism, and once he consumed human flesh, he transformed into the Wendigo. He was cursed to roam the forest in search of more people to feast upon. Others tell a similar story with slight variations on the Wendigo's ability. Some say that it grows larger with every person it eats, and it can control the weather, bringing blizzards, hurricanes, and drought upon regions in order for people to be put in those type of trying and desperate situations in order to bring them to do the things that cause you to become a Wendigo, if that makes sense. So basically, the Wendigo is creating more Wendigos by controlling nature to make you become a Wendigo. Also,
Right,
if you're listening to this, start the episode over. Take a shot every time I say the Wendigo, because I'm pretty sure I've said it at least 47 times by now.
Okay, all right. I'll hop downstairs and get the whiskey.
Well, not now, but
Does anybody ever eat part of themselves?
see, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the
And
Wendigo
does
eats
that
his own lips apparently because it's fucking starving for human flesh. But I don't
right,
think I don't think it'll
right,
eat itself.
right.
I don't.
Just like chop off a leg.
Is it cannibalism at that
Just
point, or is that like auto cannibalism, something like that?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't want to eat myself.
No. Well, there was a story of that
I
dude.
don't think so.
Kyle actually sent me this story that some guy lost his leg in like a motorcycle crash or something like that. And he asked the doctor if he could take it home, and he did, and he made tacos out of it, and him and his friends all ate his leg.
Oh wow.
You wouldn't do that if I lost my leg. You wouldn't have some of my taco meat leg.
Yeah.
Slow cook.
Yeah, I
Or
would.
would you put slow cooker?
W-
Pulled pork
That's a once
sandwiches
in a
with like
lifetime
coleslaw.
opportunity. Dave
Ooh.
sandwiches.
Oh god damn, dude, that'd be so good.
So some Dave's Law.
Yeah, we're kind of.
Dang.
I'm hungry. I did have a burrito today I had a burrito today that I hesitate to say that it had French fries on it. Let's just say it had deep fried potatoes in it. And goddamn, was it good. I've never had anything like it in my life, and I was all about it.
Man, who knew an episode about cannibalism would get us so hungry? I'm gonna need a baked potato after this.
That's where your mind goes, baked potatoes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stories and legends of the Wendigo vary slightly from one region to the next. One thing that I think both you and I can both agree on is that it stands as a cautionary tale. Much like the Kappa in Japan was to like deter children from getting too close to the water unsupervised, or like the hook-handed maniac at Lover's Lane to stop teenagers from having premarital sex, is basically a story that teaches conservation, willpower, and selflessness.
Right.
Now,
or the demon that comes out to tell you not to swim 30 minutes after you eat.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Yeah, he's just holding an alarm clock or something.
See, is that a thing that you were told as a kid, that there was a demon?
No.
I really hope that I just learned something super fucked up about you. It's like, cool, that's not a real story, right?
That explains so much. Fuck.
Now,
my life is a lie. How many lies have you been telling me, Ma?
Now, to quote from an essay I found on phdsessay.com with no credited author, it says that, quote, winter is a time of scarcity in both food and warmth, and was considered by the natives to be one of the most necessary times for a community to band together to survive the harshness. A scarcity of materials would give rise to hunger, forcing people to either share what they had with each other for the good of the group, or hoard what they had for their own sakes. It goes on to say that, quote, the choice to hoard, an act of selfishness, was seen as an act of defiance, not only against the group, but the creator himself. So basically, to have these legends, it's pretty crucial for not only oneself to live as a better person, but for the whole tribe, living as one and taking care of each other, which I think is what the Wendigo role was supposed to play, if that makes sense. I don't know. This is just me.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm talking out my ass, someone please let me know. But that's what I took away from the folklore of the Wendigo.
I appreciate the personal touch and the, popping that in there. It's not a physical being, right? It's more of an entity, folklore. So it comes with that, right? You got to make your own, determination, right?
Sure, I guess.
I like it.
I like you. Thank you. I worked really hard on this.
Hey, thanks, bud. You look good.
Dude, so do you, man. You look like a vampire, but it's fine.
Yeah. if you see me next time, I know my lips. It's because of this episode.
Yeah, I know. Well, so now we're gonna get into something that we didn't really go over, but I feel at least needs to be mentioned. Is the concept of Wendigo psychosis, which is recognized by the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, and it is described as a severe culture-bound syndrome occurring among northern Algonquin Indians living in Canada and the northeastern United States. The syndrome is characterized by delusions of becoming possessed by a flesh-eating monster, the Wendigo. It is
Hmm.
manifested in symptoms including depression, violence, a compulsion for compulsive desire for human flesh, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
actual cannibalism. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the way I feel about this Wendigo psychosis, I feel like it kind of delegitimizes the beliefs of Native Americans and the First Nations, and it's kind of just a way for like white dudes in like lab coats to be like, "Nah, y'all are kind of crazy. This is what it is." You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
at the
Yeah. I can
same
see that.
time, the human brain is a piece of shit. And I'm sure in some
Mm-hmm.
cases, if you grew up hearing the stories and then found yourself in a situation where you're faced with such desperation, or if maybe you had like an underlying mental health disorder already upon like on top of hearing these stories, and then you had some sort of
Mm.
psychotic break, I can see the psychosis being very much a possibility. You know, you're letting your
Right.
mind get
Oh
the
yeah.
best of you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I kind of stand with
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, yeah, it's real, but at the same time, I feel like you're just delegitimizing whole community. But I don't know. Again, talking up my ass. I don't know. Yeah. What do you think,
Right.
Colby?
No.
I think I've been
No.
talking
I. I.
forever.
I. I feel you on that. I feel you. I feel like that's been most of my comments is like trying to logic my way out of this, and that's not the point of it, right? The point of it
Mm,
is to, bring about a certain understanding of this. Um, I mean, a mental break is
yeah.
like something that's not like tangible, right? So in order to explain something like that, maybe you need something that's not tangible as well.
Yeah. That makes sense. I buy that. Are you part of the APA?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be, they still send me packets.
All right. Yeah. Okay. No. What the fuck are we doing here? I feel like we're not qualified to talk about this, but I feel like I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I just got
I mean,
one.
the jokes are on point.
I mean, you're killing it tonight. I
Thanks,
got
bud.
one more little bit, and then we'll close out the episode. One thing I found that was
Okay.
kind of neat, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but the modern Wendigo interpretation, like that I sent you, is always this emaciated, super tall figure with a deer skull and antlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes, yes, it is.
Well, according to some stuff I read, the deer in some Native American cultures is like a symbol of growth, regeneration, fertility, and life. So some people are saying that the modern portrayal
Okay.
of the Wendigo is like a bastardization of that. Death, greed, famine, starvation, the skull of a deer instead of the head of a deer. Uh,
Right.
I don't know if
Right.
that's the reason some people chose to portray it that way, but I thought it was just like a neat little ex- explanation for why it may have transformed into that. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I think the portrayal of skulls in a lot of metal music is to show that, like humans are all the same regardless of skin color and yada, 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 right? So maybe they were trying to say that about
I don't think that's what
eating humans, eating deer. It's the same thing, we're all bones on the inside.
cannibals are people too type thing.
Yeah, they are. They may have had a psychotic break and ate their whole family, but we got to look after them.
Who are we to judge?
I I don't know.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
I certainly won't.
that's the story of the Wendigo. The best that I could tell it.
That's a good ass story. That's badass
I
as
think we
shit.
did okay.
You did great. You cited your sources. You had Basel in it.
Yeah, Basil's a fucking badass, dude.
Dude,
I
that
never read his
guy's
book. I should probably read it
at
though.
the front line.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Hmm.
what did you think?
I think the Wendigo is scary and definitely has its place in, you know, teaching people about um, the what's the word I'm looking for here?
Importance.
Uh, the importance of not eating your own kind, and maybe it's holding a mirror up to mental health, um, I don't know, it's just spitballing here. I thought it was a good ass story though.
Right. It's definitely so. I always grew up with but I've always seen the interpretation of the Wendigo as the deer skull guy. So after
Hmm.
doing all this research and finding out that basically my whole entire understanding of the Wendigo is completely wrong, and that it's not a cryptid, and that it's actually like a spirit,
Hmm.
kind of fucking, I don't know, took the wind out of my sails, because I feel like, because I always shared pictures or stories or whatever of real Wendigo sightings, just to find out that it's all bullshit, dude. In my
Right.
during research, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, because reading is a nightmare.
Put you right out.
Dude, the amount of fucking like top 10 real Wendigo sightings, and it's just like a blurry deer standing on a rock, and it's like, dude, fuck off with this nonsense. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
It was annoying.
Clicks.
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
it's awful clicks. But yeah, so that's the story of the Wendigo, guys. We did it.
That's cool. Thanks for setting the record straight, bud.
Yeah, I feel like not a lot of people do that. There's a couple cool podcasts that I listen to, and like I said, the John Solo video was really fucking good. He did like an awesome job, uh, really dispelling any sort of like misnomers. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds correct. Yeah.
about the Wendigo. But then there's this podcast called Graveyard Tales, which I listened to, that had a lot of really good like information and resources attached to it. Dude, this podcast is the
Okay.
fucking best. All right,
Yeah.
please listen to my podcast. But if you don't like who we are as
Sure.
people, go listen to this one, because it's two dudes from I think from Texas. I don't know, but they're from the South somewhere, and they have the most
Hmm.
angelic voices I've ever heard in my entire life. Like,
Oh.
it's that like nice cowboy Texas accent.
Oh.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? You can
All
definitely
right.
tell that they
Yeah.
have like work spurs for their boots, and then like dress spurs. They have the one pair of like really nice blue jeans that they wear to both weddings and funerals.
Right.
They
Right.
definitely
Right.
have
Right. Right.
bolo ties that match all of their different cowboy hats. Like, they
Hmm.
call every woman ma'am and every man sir.
But not in an offensive way.
No, it's the
I feel
most
like you
polite.
call a lady, you call a woman ma'am around here, you're gonna get some shit for it.
Oh yeah, I bet they tip their caps all the time.
Mm.
But no, they do
Mm.
a really good job. They're a really good like cryptid paranormal folklore podcast. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was good.
Nice.
I think we had a good time. I think we did it. We did it.
We did it for sure. And now I'm better for it. Really.
You are, because now you know the
Now I
truth.
can be on the lookout. Yeah.
On the lookout for what?
I'm looking for what? Oh, I'll be. Now I know if I go into a mental psychosis, if I start chewing on my flesh, I'll know what it is. It's not me. It's the Wendigo.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to Wendigo. Hey, I
Hey,
did a Colby. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I
thanks
appreciate it.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks Colby for being back on.
Yeah.
If you guys listening, if you wouldn't mind, it'd be awesome if you could rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, but also leave us a rating on
Mm-hmm.
Spotify, because you can do that now apparently. But also, I found out that I can add
Mm.
questions to the episodes on Spotify, and you guys can respond. So if you think this is all bullshit and I did a terrible job, please tear me a new one. If you guys think I
Nice.
did okay and I got the story across the best I could respectfully, that would also be
Mm.
very comforting, because this is nerve wracking for me. All right,
Nah.
Colby, I'm going to say goodbye. We're going to go.